the wilderness within you. Our reading for the 24th day of Lent, the Friday of week 4. We've got several readings, first from Acts 16 verses 22 to 26. I'm reading from the New Revised Standard Version. The crowd joined in, attacking them, and the magistrates had them stripped of their clothing and ordered them to be beaten with rods. After they had given them a severe flogging, they threw them into prison and ordered the jailer to keep them securely. Following these instructions, he put them in the innermost cell and fastened their feet in the stocks. About midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God, and the prisoners were listening to them. Suddenly there was an earthquake, so violent that the foundations of the prison were shaken, and immediately all the doors were opened, and everyone's chains were unfastened. From the Good News translation now, from 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 8 to 10. 3 times I prayed to the Lord about this and asked him to take it away. But his answer was, "My grace is all you need, for my power is greatest when you are weak." I am most happy then to be proud of my weakness, in order to feel the protection of Christ's power over me. I am content with weakness, insults, hardships, persecutions, and difficulties for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong. Again from the Good News translation, Luke 22, verse 42. "Father," he said, "if you will, take this cup of suffering away from me. Not my will, however, but your will be done." And from the Good News translation, Luke 23, verse 34. Jesus said, "Forgive them, Father. They don't know what they're doing." I'm not too sure my prayer is working, I say doubtfully. I don't really know what we're going to do. He stops and looks at me. "Not working," he says. "How do you mean?" Well, I'm taken aback by this reply. What's not to understand in not working? Well, we haven't seen any improvement in her condition. The prognosis isn't good, and if they can't get her bloods right in very short order, then she won't be able to have the op at all. Oh, right. He sets off walking again. "Can you say a bit more?" My gaze questions his. Am I doing it wrong? He shakes his head. "It doesn't matter so much what you say. Father hears the love. Your prayer opens the connections for light to shine through. But prayer isn't primarily about outcomes and situations. It's an orientation of the soul, about aligning yourself with the flow of grace in the world, so that you watch what the Father is doing and do nothing else except that. Things are as they are. What is, just is. The question is how you respond. The ability to respond. Responsibility. Prayer is accepting responsibility for what comes into your life. embracing it. Responsibility confers authority, and it's also accountability. Are you with me? I shake my head. No. Not really. Can you run that by me again? I love it when this happens. He looks at me, and instead of irritation clouding his face because I am so slow, he is suddenly lit up with a grin, like unexpected sunburst. Not mocking me, I mean, just as though he's my friend. When something comes before your attention, you respond. Or, to put it another way, you become responsible for it. Same thing. Nothing happens in isolation. The way things are, it's always part of the whole interconnected web of life, the pattern of love woven by the Spirit of truth. If you give a little tug at any circumstance, if you dislodge anything, you change the whole pattern, because everything is connected. Everything is part of everything else, and that, of course, includes you. But you cannot be responsible for everything and everybody. You will become swamped and overwhelmed. You are asked only to be responsible for yourself and what is in front of you, to love your neighbour as yourself. So you choose how you will respond to every circumstance you meet. You look puzzled. Can you give me an example? I ask. Sure. Take this afternoon, when we waited 45 minutes in the cold wind for a bus that didn't turn up. When it finally arrived, and you said to the bus driver how long you'd been waiting, and he was so rude to you. Let's think about that. And about loving your neighbour as yourself. The first circumstance was waiting. The cold, you can get resentful and indignant and impatient and start thinking about how often the bus is late and what you're going to say to the driver when he gets there. Or you can just possess your soul in patience and wait peacefully. Or call a cab if you feel you've waited long enough and you have the money. And you can tell the Father, just quietly in your mind, how you feel. If you can't enjoy what's happening, you can accept it. Then, when the bus gets there, you're confronted with the driver. So now you have responsibility for him. He is your neighbour now. To look at him with the love that everyone needs, not to blame him. To ask quietly and without drama what happened to make him so late, and if he's all right. So he knows he has been received by love. After all, you can't make it any earlier or less cold, but you can make it loving. How you speak to him, look at him, will affect the whole web of life. How he drives, how he feels when he gets home. What is. You choose your response. You take responsibility. And my friend who's so ill? He looks at me seriously. Father knows her and loves her. Her times are in his hands. but she is your responsibility. You can tell because she's in your life. So you choose carefully how to respond, how to love her. You hold her in the light as you walk in the light. You keep her with you. You abide in me, and I abide in you, and our love flows along the web to her. And this must be so, because all things are connected. All you have to do is take responsibility for loving and for living in the light. There's no such thing as a prayer that doesn't work. Prayer is mega. It changes everything. It's the juice that runs the whole system.